Good evening, welcome everyone and all to ERL tonight for round number 12, the 12th edition of then the Pirelli tier. And I believe this is, I believe it's season 5 if I'm correct. I should have probably put that in the, what you called it, the notice. I think it's season 5. Yeah, it is season 5. So yeah, season 5, round number 12 for the Pirelli tier. And both our championships have been settled, but nonetheless, hopefully we can have a excellent race tonight, in which will be my final comms on the channel. Ultimately, for at least for now. Hopefully, maybe I'll be back in the future. As I'm decided to take a break for at least next season. Mainly due to the game, how it's obviously been, but not going to waffle on too much about that. But yeah, Dave obviously saying big thank you, to me. But actually, really the thanks is to Dave and to obviously Man's Not Bob and all the drivers actually who have provided excellent racing over the, I don't know how many seasons I've done it. Is it 3, 4? Seasons that I've commentated ERL. So yeah, big thank you to at least all the drivers that have contributed to the success of the channel and also to the success of the league, and I think also to the awesome admins who absolutely been fantastic in providing a great environment for everyone to go league racing. And I think that's the ultimate thing, I think, to really say. So, yeah, and hopefully next season you'll have another awesome commentator, hopefully like myself, or, like myself, that can provide great comms, and I wish them also the very best of luck stepping into the role, because not easy doing comms. There's obviously, a bit of a, I don't know whether you want to call it knack, I suppose, to try and be as impartial in situations as, possibly can be. Like, never really try to comment on a incident itself, if you know where I'm coming from. Obviously you've got to try and also add the element of excitement. Even in the times of where it can become a bit dull sometimes. Not all races are, exciting, as we all know. Some races are pretty dull. I thought, personally, the Singapore Grand Prix, just Sunday gone, I think it's the fastest Singapore Grand Prix ever. But it was a pretty dull affair, not really much, drama to it. However, having said that, we did have quite a bit of drama in the end at Baku, so I suppose we were due a bit of a dull race, and also Monza was pretty exciting too, which actually I attended in person. So, yeah, Monza was absolutely fantastic to go to in person to see the Formula 1 cars there, and I thought that was a good race. Obviously, watching it live is a very different experience to watching it actually on your TV. I did manage to, I recorded the race also onto my TV at home, so managed to come home and watch the race also on my TV as well, which was pretty nice as well, after I watched it the other Sunday, wherever it was. But nonetheless, anyway, on to the comms. So LCC is about to set the fastest lap of then the day, and he's about to go on to provisional pole for now at least. What lap time is he going to do? It's going to be a 1:12.4. So that's the lap time. Everyone else has to go and try and chase down, as I believe it is Piano Jam crossing the line then. Does a 1:09.1. Lucky Egg comes across the line just shortly afterwards and does a 1:09.2. So who's next to cross the line? Elliot is, but his has Jay Nagel coming across the line. So we're now into the 1:08s. Also, Top Car Vlogger has crossed the line. Let's see what has Jay Nagel's got in his pocket. It's a 1:09.3. Charlie Harris goes on to provisional pole. Here's Arbeg Dury coming up to the line now. Crucial, get a good exit out of the final corner, which is Well, actually, no, that's not the final corner. The final corner is just there. But in the drive, not really existent. But here's Albeduri, comes across the line, only a 1:14.8. So I imagine he's got more time to come because usually he's up there when it comes to most circuits. So a bit shocked to see him further down. Actually, did he win the first season, Albeduri? I can't remember if he did or didn't. I remember it went to the wire that first season, and I believe Stewart, well, one of the seasons went to the wire. That was the season Stewart took the title. And he is actually a champion this season, of course, to some extent, winning the Constructors, helping his Haas team and Haas teammate win the Constructors. Tom goes into 7th, and yeah, actually do need to talk about the champions. So I'll start off with Constructors. So yeah, Haas have won the Constructors Championship ultimately by 103 points. So tonight they can cement that. There is a little bit of a battle up for grabs between its 4th and 5th, Aston Martin versus Red Bull. Red Bull are right now 1 point ahead of that. Also, you do have Ferrari versus Williams right now. Again, only a point there. And also Alpine, don't discount them. So that's the battle for 6th place. Other than that, I believe every other battle on the track has been more or less sorted. In terms of the Constructors, so Haas have won that. But yeah, Stewart, once again, therefore, is a champion in his own right, Constructors champion. He is this time around not going to take the driver's title, but still, he finished... well, where can he finish? I think he might be able to get top 5, can he? No, he can't. However, Appledorm's won the championship by quite a margin. Manzanar Bob won't finish higher than 4th, but also I don't believe no lower than 4th. Maybe a little bit of a battle up for grabs for 2nd. Dan Nurse, Neil. There's about 19 points in that battle there, so that could go either way depending on if who has a good or bad result between them two. If one, well, put it this way, if Dan pretty much finishes ahead of Neil or doesn't finish, significantly lower than Neil, pretty much Neil will finish 3rd and Dan 4th. Just having a look. So there is a battle for 7th and 8th between Ralphie and Tom. However, I believe Ralphie's not here, so that will be Tom's then position anyway. Oh, there's Stewart. Stewart is 9th, is he? Okay, so Stewart actually could finish as high as 7th. I was looking at Top Car Vlogger, sorry. So my apologies. Top Car Vlogger 6th. Then it'll be Stewart. He can potentially take 7th if he outscores both, obviously, Ralphie, which he should do, and obviously Tom, which is a bit more debatable, but we'll have to wait and see what is going to happen then tonight. So Lucky Egg's been disqualified, so that will ensure he'll start from the back of the grid then here for tonight's Grand Prix. Here's then Neil starting his then flying lap, one of obviously the championship contenders. He was obviously didn't get to see last week's race, unfortunately, so didn't get to give Appledorm his crowning championship moment. However, nonetheless, he is the champion of Season 5. Here comes then Neil up through then the hills, basically into this, well, very technical section of the track. This is where basically you've got to have the downforce and the grip, and, well, the mechanical grip more of it, really. Down the hill then, towards the final corner. I only know the names of the first 2 corners, which I believe is the Senna S's or Schumacher S's. I think Schumacher S's is Japan and Senna S's is obviously here at Brazil, if I'm correct in saying. Anyway, up the hill, crosses the line, moves on to provisional pole with a 108.1. So we're almost into the 107s. Let's see where Appledorm is, and he's invalidated, unfortunately. Dan, I think, is on a second lap, but he is on the medium tyre. So given he's on mediums, I wouldn't expect him be in the hunt for pole here. Let's see how Stewart is going to get on in his second attempt. Obviously, I believe he was the Season 3 champion, if I rightly remember. Last season's champion. Who was last season's champion? Was it Dandan or was it Appledorn? I can't actually remember who last season's champion was. Let me go back to last season. It was Dandan. Yeah, I knew it was Dandan or Appledorn, one of the two. And it was Dandan, Season 4. Back in the Iron Tier days, the last F1 season of 23, of course. So, yeah, obviously Appledorn, that championship that has obviously been a bit elusive to him because he almost came very close to winning it in, I believe, Season 3 it was, which was an absolute cracking season overall. But Stewart, unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, but he took that at the final corner in China. But unfortunately, he's invalidated his lap time there, so he won't go any faster. Arbejduri might be on a lap, but let's see now what Appledorn's doing because he is on his flying run once again. So it's a 51.6 for his middle sector up the hill now. And as I say, pretty much once you've negotiated that final corner, as you can see, that's pretty much flat out there for obviously Appledorn. So not quite on pole or the front row. Misses out on the front row by 0.02 of a second. But nonetheless, third place, head of Charlie Harris. So I would imagine on a new set of tyres with a lower fuel tank, he'd probably be very much closer to Neil there on that 108.1. Neil had a very good lap then. Here's Mafasa then, so one last time where I can hopefully, say some lovely stuff about Mafasa, and there we go. He's, taken out the pit lane pit board. Perfect timing. Literally, as we go on board with Mafasa, there comes a mistake, and, well, he almost did, I don't know, handbrake turn into the pit lane, sort of thing. But yeah, must have obviously got a bit excited there as soon as he heard that I was on board with him, as per always. Nonetheless, Arbejduri then, let's see what he's doing on his second run, up by 69 thousandths of a second, so this is a decent improvement. Let's see if he can carry that all the way to the line and maybe find a bit more out of that Alpine car. 5 minutes and 52 seconds left in this session to run. Crosses the line, does go marginally quicker, just shy of 1/10 of a second, and that just gives him a little bit of breathing room between himself and then Appledorn, who currently is then in third place. Stock car vloggers invalidated, so he obviously will have to go again and get back around to complete another lap. So here's Robbo, and he says he's done middle personal best or purple sector. Let's see if that is a good lap then coming his way, and let's see what he can do. Going across the line now, it's a 109.0, so not quite going on to the top 10 sort of region, but is nonetheless ahead of Gavin. He's got himself off the back row of the grid. Here's Brian then, still one car of not to set a lap as of yet. That didn't sound right, did it? One car as of not set it up yet. He's the only car, I should have said, not to set a lap as of yet. That's what I should have said. Just gave myself a bit of word salad there. Anyway, going to cross the line now and moves himself into the top 10. Still probably got time, just enough time to go again. That's a good thing about Brazil, is if you do a lap now, you should be able to go again in theory and get another lap in, because it's such a short track, a bit like Austria, of course. plenty time to do 3, maybe 4 runs, maybe even 5 if you can squeeze them all in. There's certainly plenty time here at Brazil because it's such a short lap, as we can see, only a 1 minute, a 1 minute 8 second lap effectively. So the in and out laps are about probably 1 minute 12, 1 minute 13. So not long at all. Here's Dan crossing line, moves himself into the top 5. Can he maybe do another lap? Maybe not. Maybe his session is over then. There. Let's see what Neil's doing, because he's on his final run. And he's down in the first sector, so hasn't improved so far through this first sector as we ride on board with the Red Bull driver up the hill. Flicks the car right and keeps it in 6th gear. No major dramas. Very easy through that corner to lose the rear end and let the car get away from you. So into the section of track where obviously you've got how can you put it, more technical stuff. And yeah, Bigdory didn't win the championship. It was between Appledorn, Stewart and Bigdory, and Stewart won. Yeah, cool. And yeah, no, I knew that. Stewart took it at the last corner, which was pretty epic, to be fair. I don't think I've ever seen a championship quite like that, where literally you win a championship in the last corner of the last lap, besides Lewis Hamilton 2008, dare I say. But was that really the last corner of the last lap? Because if you know why, well, it was technically, but the thing is, when that rain started really raining in Brazil 2008, I think anyone who thought Lewis Hamilton wouldn't have won on that day obviously has to think again, because the difference between the inters, or whatever tyre, well, the wet tyre and the dry, obviously the dry was always going to be worse off back then. But that's a whole different debate, I suppose. 2008 season, lots of controversy actually there was that season. I think probably more controversy that season than 2021. So our Begduri is, I think, going to be starting a lap soon. Charlie Harris is starting his lap already, so he's going to be one of the first top 4 drivers to come around and begin. Then it's going to be Top Car Flogger. Appledorn is on his out lap still, so no worries about him. Top House Flogger is finishing off, so let's see what Top House Flogger's got in his tank. He's a 10th up in the first sector, and unfortunately losing a bit of time in this middle sector. He still does have time to recharge, but he's committed by the looks of it to this lap nonetheless, and he's going to come across the line now in a very short while. Does he improve? No, unfortunately for him, it's not going to be any sort of improvement. So here's then Charlie Harris, who is on his final lap, down by 12 thousandths. Don't know what he did in the first sector, so we'll have to wait and see as he crosses the line. So far, not many people are improving on their second or third runs, but nonetheless, let's see what the Sauber driver's got to say for himself. Comes across the line, remains 5th, so no major improvement. So I believe it's just Appledorn, because Elliott is off the track. So let's see what obviously Appledorn's got, and behind him got Top Car Flogger, but Hasjay Nagel, I think, is trying to follow behind. Unfortunately, Top Car Flogger has invalidated, so let's see then what obviously Appledorn has got left in his tank. The current champion, the defending champion for next season, then he will be. Can he obviously take back-to-back championships next season? Well, unfortunately, he's not going to take pole tonight. He's 2 tenths down, so we need a absolutely world record sort of final sector, and peels off into the pits. So that's his qualifying over. So is our Begduri on the lap? No, he's not, because he's over a long way down. Dandan might be on a lap though. Let's see if Dandan can maybe improve. He's 6 thousandths down on his personal best. So again, we need a absolutely world record beating final sector if he wants to move himself onto the front row, let alone provisional pole position, and comes across the line, does have a very good final sector, moves himself up into the top 3, and that then moves everyone else down a position or 2. But that is then qualifying, and it is then the Red Bull driver of Neil taking pole, which is absolutely perfect for him in terms of, well, for getting, at least securing that not securing the P2, to try and get P2, because he's ahead of his main rival, Dan, who, let's bear in mind, is only 20 points ahead, so it's still up for grabs P2 in the championship. Which, okay, it's only P2, but it's still runners-up position, vice-champion, I suppose, which, obviously, I'm sure would mean a lot to Neil if he could become the vice-champion of this season, and who knows, maybe go on to greater things next season. He might be able to do. But, yeah, that's your grid then set for today's race, which we'll go through very, very shortly. So, here we go then. Neil takes pole position by 43 thousandths ahead of Arbejduri. Then it's Dan in third, and it's fourth for Elliot. Fifth is Appledorm. Sixth, Charlie Harris. Seventh is FCS and Shade, who's had a brilliant qualifying here tonight. Top Car Flogger is in 8th. Stewart 9th. Then Top House Flogger is in 10th. Then we have Brian, Robbo, and Piano Jam in 11th, 12th, and 13th. Tom 14th. Morgan 15th. Has Jay Nagel is in 16th. Then Gavin Poynton is 17th. Mafasa down the grid in 18th. Then ahead of LCC in 19th. And it's Lucky Egg, unfortunately, starting on the back row in last in 20th. So those are your 20 runners and riders for then tonight's race. And, well, Brazil, well, it looks dry, so Brazil should be a one-stop, I would say. I don't expect it to be a two-stop. Most races in Formula 1 games are one-stop, just like real life, actually. Even though we have seen quite a fair number of two-stops this season, if I remember rightly. Silverstone was obviously a multiple-stop race, but I'm thinking more along the lines of Spain, Canada, Austria. Those were two-stop races, weren't they? In real life, at least. Can't remember. Monza was a two-stop, but one stop won the race, if you know what I mean. So, yeah, been a fair few amount of two-stop strategies. But, yeah, nonetheless, here we go then. 5 red lights are coming on for one last time in ERL Season 5 finale. We are underway. We are racing for the final time on my comms, at least. And it's Neil who's gotten away brilliantly from pole, heading them down into the first 2 turns. And you know what? He might be able to already break the DRS by the end of this lap. Dan moves ahead of then Arbejduri, swooping around the outside to move himself up into second place. And coming under pressure in the background is then Appledorm, the championship leader, who has now conceded position down into then 5th, but momentarily he's down then in 6th because it was Begduri going down the order, and he's now down into 20th. So very unfortunate turn of events for then the Alpine driver, who unfortunately, by the looks of it, don't know if there was any contact or not, but has spun out and lost the car in a very peculiar manner. Anyway, Brian is going up into 12th, and I believe that was then the Alpine, it was, I think, off the track nonetheless. Or it might have been Piano Jam, actually. I think it was Piano Jam off the track. So, good battles going on further down as we cross the line then for lap 2. Neil already 1.4 seconds clear of the rest of the field. trying to chase him down is Dandan, but Charlie Harris trying to make then another move up here for the podium positions. And if he got that done, that would have put him onto the podium. So let's see what tyres are all on. So Neil's on the softs, then the rest behind him, the 5 behind him are all on mediums. Then it's a few more on the softs further back. Robbo, FCS and Shade and Tom Hards for obviously Top Car Flogger and Stuart. So they're going for a different strategy. I'll tell you what, very much different strategies at play here. Some on softs, some on mediums, some on the hards. It's a very split opinion out there in terms of what is the best tyre compound to be on. Is it the medium? Is it the soft? Is it the hard? And literally it's a very, very split form of opinion between the grid then tonight in terms of what they think is the right way to go. However, what is the right thing to do is to lead the Grand Prix. And right now, whilst whilst Dandan is closing the gap down, then gonna probably creep under a second on this lap. There we go, back within now the DRS. Obviously, Dandan is just about almost. However, nonetheless, whilst Dandan is closing, Neil's still got a decent advantage. And how much is Neil pushing those tyres? I have no idea. However, I imagine he's pushing a lot to try and keep that gap as wide as possible between himself and then the McLaren driver behind. And that's going to be the main thing for then the Red Bull. Going to just get that off my screen. There we go. So Neil currently leads. Go further back. Here comes Appledorn then. And got the DRS obviously on Charlie Harris. Has a look down the inside of Elliott. Elliott though not quite conceding position, but he's going to have another shot of DRS than Appledorn is, and now is going to get all the way up into the podiums. And just like that, championship leader, showing why he's the championship leader and the top 3 in the championship, all running then back to where they used to run, because they are first, second and third just in a bit of a wrong order at the moment. Obviously Dandan is where he's at the moment in second, but obviously Neil would be third in this order if it was proper championship order. If you just reverse switch it, it literally is the championship order. A little bit of an oversteer moment for Charlie Harris coming out of that corner there, which puts him just into the grasp of Top Car Flogger. So good exit here from Top Car Flogger, and potentially a overtake is on the cards here for the Aston Martin driver as they've run now up the hill. Coming past the pit straight, is Top Car Flogger close enough to get the move done? Yes, he is, and he is now up into 5th. Charlie Harris back down into 6th place. So Charlie Harris losing another position here on that lap, which puts Charlie then down into 6th. Robbo also doing a good job at that moment, up in 7th. FCS and Shade doing a good job, also keeping very much in touch with the leaders he is at the moment, which FCS and Shade, like, you know, I said it a few seasons ago, the amount of improvement that he's shown when he first, I think, came into race for ERL, which was, I think, only a few seasons ago. I think it was mid-season 3 he joined us, and ultimately he, well, no offence to him, he weren't necessarily one of the top drivers in the division, but he's showing, like, as I say, what's nice to see is that level of improvement that, you know, I've seen from a driver like FCS and Shade, who, as I say, has been like there since mid-season 3 and come a long, long way since then. But nonetheless, Neil is about to be overtaken then. So Neil is now down into 3rd place, and yeah, that is Neil then, well, going the wrong way, been overtaken by both Appledorn and Dandan. So Appledorn starting just to come to the front of the race then here. And the thing about Appledorn, as soon as he gets into the lead, and as soon as he breaks a second, a lot of the time this season, he's been impossible to catch. And it's just like, well, it looks like he's just starting to get into his rhythm. I fear for Dan here. It's not a matter of if he's going to pass. It feels like when is he going to pass. So here comes Appledorn then. DRS wide open for the Haas driver. Goes to the right hand side of the track. Dan making him go the long way round. At least trying to make sure that happens. Not giving him an easy time. And now can Dan get back at the Haas driver, because there is another DRS zone here. And, well, he is within that DRS range, within the slipstream range as well. Dan then has a little look, but not close enough on this occasion to go for the move. And Appledorn up into the race lead then here. And it is Appledorn once again leading the way, as per usual, this season so far. And now we've got our championship order: first, second and third in the championship, followed by Elliott, top car flogger, who's now being put under a bit of pressure by Charlie Harris. Charlie Harris in the end isn't able to get the move done, had to back out. Probably with a little bit of oversteer from top car flogger's car, probably put him off ever so slightly. As FCS and Shade now up into 7th place here. Has Robbo stopped? I don't think he has, so he surely made a mistake along the way. But it is going to be Dan overtaken then Appledorn, and takes back the lead of the Grand Prix then here. But Appledorn has managed to stay a little bit closer than what obviously Dan did to him, so Appledorn might be able to get himself back up into the lead by the time we get to turn 4. Let's see if he does go for a move. He is going to go for a move. Down the inside Appledorn goes. Can he get the move done? No, not quite. A little bit too far back on that occasion. And unfortunately for Appledorn, he will remain in 2nd place for now. I tell you what though, Neil, it's starting to look like those soft tyres were the wrong option. However, we do have a virtual safety car, which I don't know how long that's going to last for. However, that could provide an opportunity to the soft runners to come in and put on their second set of tyres, whatever tyre they want to go to. But it does feel like the soft strategy isn't quite working out at the moment. It feels like that strategy probably the wrong way to go. And yeah, it's starting to look like it's costing them a little bit of time as well for good fruition. So will we see Top Car Flogger dart off into pits here, or will we see anyone else decide to pit? The answer is no, and Top Car Flogger hasn't opted for the cheaper pit stop, because he would have lost less time there had he decided to pit. He probably would only lose maybe half the time. Mufasa has pitted, but he's now going to be a lap down, is he? He's going to get out just about ahead then there of the head of the field, which therefore keeps him on to the lead lap, but he's now pulled over out of the way and he's letting cars through. I think Mufasa might have retired, I'm not entirely sure, but what's gone on there? I have absolutely no idea. It's Neil in the wars. Neil hit someone, I think. I'm not entirely sure, but whatever I am sure about, Top Car Flogger hasn't got a front wing. And also, then Charlie Harris is without no front wing. So this is going to really help FCS and Shade out, because he's going to gain a number of positions then here. As we can see though, Top Car Flogger still remaining in the top 3. Despite that, Neil also is like, well, in a bit of trouble. So still, like, Top Car Flogger's going around at a decent rate. Like, does he try to continue on with that front wing damage? No. So in the end, that allows Elliott back up into the order. But yeah, that's allowed FCS and Shade to get into the top 5 here. Top House Flogger also back into a bit of contention as well. So Neil and FCS and Shade are, well, going to go side by side. The two soft runners, the front leading soft runners. A little bit of contact between the two. Also contact between Elliott and FCS and Shade. Elliott bumped off the road a little bit, but FCS and Shade up into now the top 4. And also the top 2 have got penalties as well. But also Appledorn pulling slightly, edging out his advantage ever so slightly for then the front of the field. Can he get that up to about a second? If he gets it to out of that 1 second range, or out of the, into the 1 second range and above, he will obviously break the DRS, and that will be a bit of an advantage that obviously Dan currently has against him, taken away. This time though, FCS and Shade looking a bit further back from Neil, so I feel like Neil is going to therefore leave FCS and Shade a bit vulnerable, and House Flogger takes the overtake, moves himself up into the top 4, and Begduri then is up into 9th, but a lot of these drivers are to make a stop. Everyone outside the top 10 have actually made a stop as of yet. It's the drivers inside the top 10 that actually haven't made any stops, or inside the top 11 I should say. Elliott's just completed his stop now, so he comes back out onto the track with, it says, the same lap age of tyres, so I don't understand quite what's happened there, unless he had a drive-through penalty, which I'm thinking could be more than likely. I do wonder what the two leaders have got in terms of penalties. 10 seconds, okay, that's interesting. Now, I'm just thinking, if they've got 10 seconds, they'll have to serve them penalties at the pit stop, no? So yeah, they'll have to serve 10 seconds at the pits, which could actually see, I don't know whether it will see, but it could actually see I.E, Top House Flogger or Neil or Stewart into the lead of the race, or FCS and Shade actually, into the lead of the race. Like, one of these 4 could be the new race leader, if obviously Appledorn and Dan don't build a gap large enough to clear that 10 seconds. Right now it is up to 7.3 seconds. So the more they fight, the better it is for the 2 race leaders, because they will eke out more of an advantage the more these 4 fight. However, caveat to that is if they don't fight that hard, all 4 of them, in theory I say, could jump, obviously, the pair of them at the moment. Right now, I'd say obviously Dan's under a bit more threat from that scenario playing out, because Appledorn's leading, and it looks like he's now, as I say, building up a bit of a buffer in his lead. And Abeduri's out, which I think was retired on the pit straight, which it was, and that brings out the safety car. Now, safety car deployed. Now, what was the gap? The gap's 11 seconds. Now, we know they have to serve about 10 seconds in the pits before tyres probably get put on. Nonetheless, it is going to help out the drivers behind that haven't stopped. I imagine everyone's going to come in now that at least haven't stopped. I do wonder, do we see anyone that has stopped into the pits? Also, right now, Lucky Egg is the lead driver to have stopped so far in this race. I believe he is. So yeah, into the pits then they come. Obviously, Dan and Appledorn serving their penalties, which for them could affect their teammates ever so slightly, but probably not enough to really concern them that much. But yeah, as you can see, Tom and Lucky Egg have actually therefore jumped the race leaders. Top House Vloggers remaining out for now on those hards, which therefore probably going to leave him very, very vulnerable to the attacks from behind. As, Appledorm almost binning his own race winning chances there. The only good thing for, obviously, Appledorm, he does now have a car between himself and Dandam, which I think, personally, he will kind of appreciate that little bit of relief. And he could, in fact, make it more, because there are a few further cars ahead. So we are approaching now the halfway stage in this race. Safety car probably be out for another lap, I'm going to predict here, due to the fact still waiting on Morgan to catch up to the back of the pack, and also Stewart, I think, is still yet to catch up. But definitely Morgan is still to catch. So when the safety car comes in, it will be Top House Vlogger controlling the safety car pace, and it'll be his prerogative of when to restart this Grand Prix under his command, effectively. The only thing I question here is, can the mediums make it all the way to the end of this Grand Prix? Even for those that have stopped under the safety car, I know they won't be taking too much wear out of the tyre, but right now there's 20 laps to go. Even if safety car comes in at the end of this lap, there's still roughly about 19 laps of racing speed potentially they've got to do on them. And for me, I'm just saying that, well, I feel it could be a bit of a uphill task. I don't know, like, roughly whether that is doable or not, because definitely the hards, I think, be no problem. However, the mediums, I can see them be quite poor by the time we get to the end of this Grand Prix. Anyway, safety car is in this lap, and it is Top House Vlogger who will get this Grand Prix restarted and get us back to the green flag, then in Brazil at Sao Paulo. Then when will he go? I think he's gone now, actually. So Appledorm then, yeah, sorry, House Vlogger's gone already, not giving them a chance, not taking them to the line. He's just decided to blitz it and go and try and catch them maybe a little bit off guard there. And, well, let's see who's going to make up position. Dandan's going to make up position on the hard tyre and gets himself now up into 5th place. How's Appledorn coming along? Is he going to make up a position on Tom? Now, this is where Tom kind of needs to get his elbows out for his teammate and try and make Appledorn's life as difficult as possible. Obviously, right now, it is McLaren here with a bit of a strategic advantage. The fact they've got Appledorn in a bit of a sandwich, a McLaren sandwich. And, well, for the Papaya team, they can just try to upset maybe Appledorn here if they can. Obviously, Appledorn does have fresher hard tyres. Let's see if he's going to go for it down the inside. Did have a slight look, but in the end decided not to go for the move and just held back for now. Brian right now in 8th place is also doing a good job ahead of FCS and Shade for now, who was running high as, I think, 4th in this race. Almost got onto the podium he did, but not quite. Let's see if he can move himself up into 8th. Right now, where would he be targeting? Maybe a P7 here. If he can get that result, that might be where he's looking at the moment towards, as it's Tom off the road, and Tom, therefore, at turn 1, suffering a little bit there, unfortunately. And that's going to be very painful for the other McLaren driver. But it does allow then Appledorn through. And Appledorn can now try and chase after the race leader of Lucky Egg. Lucky Egg is the next car for Appledorn to pass. Is obviously within the DRS already. Also, Lucky Egg does have a penalty. So he's now your new race leader, the Alpine driver. As they weave down the hill and then back up the hill with the DRS now active, it will be. Is Appledorn close enough on this lap to go for a move into turn 1 or anywhere into the next part of the race? He's going to have a DRS active. Let's see. Does look like he's not close enough. And isn't anywhere near close enough. And still into turn 4, I think it's going to be a bit too far back. Let's see, he gets an amazing exit though. So I think he might get him then here. Appledorn moving himself back up into the race lead by the time we get to turn 4. And now that we're at turn 4, can he, well, try and pull out the gap, that 1 second on him, well, on the car behind and maybe on Appledorn. Because this is now the time when he can try and break clear of that 1 second, which he's done. But can he maybe break clear of also Lucky Egg's 1 second, which would probably help a little bit. Unless you wouldn't maybe want to give Dandan DRS on this lap. Maybe you would want to wait a little bit just to try and use it as a little bit of defense. Give Lucky Egg a chance of defending on the straight if he can do so. Let's see. Lucky Egg then out of the corner. Let's see if obviously Dandan's going to be close enough. Obviously with DRS he is going to close up. He's gaining. He's now passing, and with the DRS therefore that will help him also gain up to the back of Appledorn. And now get back within the DRS range of the Haas driver. However, that probably be nice to be back within the DRS, but not necessarily the end of the race for Appledorn, despite being in the DRS there. So has Jay Nagel up to 5th now. He's actually having a great race, and last time I think he had a really good race was Las Vegas of last season. I think he got his maiden podium. I don't know if he's had a podium since. I think he might have done. So he might have only 2 podiums so far to his name, but he is doing a great job here in the top 5 at the moment for now. And FCS and Shade is right now trying to get another move done to move himself closer to the top 5. He does have Stewart behind him on a lap younger tyres, but FCS and Shade, no penalty as of yet. Top House Vlogger also no penalty, but does need to make his pit stop. He's so far the only driver actually who probably needs to make a pit stop, because no way he's getting those 20 lap hold hards to the end. And unfortunately he's into the wall there at the pit exit which has cost him dearly and is tumbling down the order. It all goes wrong for the Sauber driver, and both Sauber drivers in the wars today, costing themselves dearly. But for FCS and Shade, top 5 is starting to look very much possible and very much on the cards here. Maybe even a top 4 is looking actually likely even. Really depends, because if he can get past Has-J Nagel, then he's in really good stead to try and chase down Lucky Egg, who's on older medium tyres by a few laps, at least by about 5 laps younger his tyres are, which is a bit of a decent offset. Also, Lucky Egg does have a penalty, which he will serve at the end of this race. It is only 3 seconds. Has-J Nagel's got 10 seconds to his name. Here we go then. FCS and Shade moves himself up into 5th place. Takes the 5th place away from the Aston Martin driver. Can he now hold on to it down this back straight into turn number 4? He's obviously going to be put under a bit of pressure. Does he, though, manage to hold on to that position? Yes, he does. And remains ahead then of Has-J Nagel, who currently trying to fight out then between himself and Stewart. So, for FCS and Shade, can he maybe go and try and chase down Lucky Egg and take the position away for the top 2 vote? They're fighting it out for this race win. Lap 22 of 36. Dan leads from Appledorn. Then it is Neil 3rd. Then 4th, Lucky Egg. So those are your current top 4. Lucky Egg, though, with a penalty. And not just with a penalty, but also with the worst tyre compound in terms of number of laps done on them tyres. Currently inside the top then 5. So DRS active. Is Has-J Nagel close enough? Make a move into the first corner? No. Goes a little bit deep, and that's going to allow Stewart a great opportunity coming out of the Senna S's. Then on to the next DRS straight. Stewart going to go and surely alongside the Aston Martin driver, or does he not? No, he don't. He remains behind at least for then another lap. Then Has-J Nagel keeps him behind for at least, so no change of position there. Stewart, I did think would be able to get that move done, but clearly not. Maybe not enough straight line pace. So is Stewart got maybe a bit too much downforce on his car? Potentially. So maybe he's going to have to get this move done in a different part of the track. Maybe I'm thinking maybe a little bit of a dive into turn 1 he could practically do. However, this lap around, Has-J Nagel doesn't have DRS on the car ahead. That might also help out then Stewart a little bit here, because Stewart does have DRS. So can Stewart, without then the DRS for Has-J Nagel, get past the Aston Martin? Still, the answer's no. So twice now, second time of asking, a little bit of a wobble for Stewart there. And I think Stewart this time are looking a lot closer than to the back of the Aston Martin. But the Aston Martin, really good straight line speed for Has-J Nagel, and he's not really burning much battery in comparison to Stewart. So it's just purely good straight line speed for the Aston Martin here, which is going to be pivotal to the outcome of this race, for these two at least. Lucky Egg hasn't really been also drawn in as of yet by the car behind of FCS and Shade, so FCS and Shade isn't really catching, isn't also pulling away much from these two as of yet. So I do think Has-J Nagel is going to have another lap of, obviously, pressure put on him. Here we go then. Is Stewart looking a lot closer? Yes, he is. Looks like he's maybe using up a bit more battery this time and gets past then the Aston Martin man. The only thing is, Has-J Nagel is going to have the better tyres a little bit later on, so this battle for then 7th is definitely not over. There we go. Or for 6th, sorry. And that is the Aston Martin back up into the top 6 ahead of Stewart, who's currently sat 7th. Once again though, obviously it does help FCS and Shade, who's not lost much more time this lap. It's just the fact right now the car ahead of him isn't really losing time either, despite having 16 now lap old tyres. I do wonder, are we going to see another stop come in at any point for the medium runners? Because surely, you know, their tyres are going off by now, especially for Lucky Egg and for FCS and Shade, who right now been on those tyres. Sorry, not FCS and Shade, for Gavin Poynton, who's been on them tyres for at least 17 laps. Okay, some of those laps were behind the safety car, but let's just compensate it by about 3-4 laps. Okay, so there are at least 12 laps of racing speed older, in theory, whereas the other drivers have only got maybe about 7 laps worth of older tyres. Stewart once again passed then has Jay Nagel, this time getting it done into turn 4, which could be quite crucial because turn 4 probably is where Stewart needed to get it done. Now, can he pull out a second on the Aston Martin? Because the Aston Martin does look like it's just got a little bit better straight line pace, as Jay Nagel does, compared to Stewart. Right now, this lap is just pulling out as ever so slight lead. About maybe another 2 attempts and he'll get the gap. Lucky Egg is, I think, spun then there. So that's a free position made up for both, well, everyone inside the top 6 and everyone a bit further down the field. So I think Stewart did actually get out of the DRS there, which, as I say, very, very crucial. And we got a second safety car then in this race. And this time, it's great timing for then, well, everyone behind, because it brings everyone back into play. And also out front, crucially, Dandan's picked up a 3-second time penalty. So that is the penalty out front. I tell you what, a podium could be on the cards for FCS and Shade here. Very much could be. I don't want to jinx it, but yeah, there is a chance. You got to think of it like this. Right, Dandan going to come in. Pretty much a whole grid is going to come in for new tyres, which I suspect will take place now. Anyone who doesn't come in is just going to be a sitting duck, effectively. So FCS and Shade should come back out into the lead. Should come back out in 4th anyhow. Everyone else should all come back out in the grid positions too. You currently see now. So in they come, as I just said. So they'll put on the softs, and I imagine they'll go to the end. Now, could we see anyone jump anyone? Let's have a look. So in comes then, obviously, the McLaren. Looks like it was a pretty good stop, so I wouldn't expect a jump here. Maybe a little bit worse of a stop also from the Haas crew. Neil and Has-J Nagel have done what I just said to make themselves sitting ducks. I'm a bit surprised FCS and Shade not gone for the soft tyre. Gone for mediums instead. So I thought softs would be the more preferable tyre to go on, especially at this stage of Grand Prix. So there are a few wanting to risk it for a biscuit and are going to try and stick it out on the older compounds. I.E, Top Car Vlogger, Has-J Nagel, Neil, all taking the gamble, going for the older tyre and trying to, well, I don't know what they're trying to do. Personally, it don't really make sense when you do stuff like that, in my opinion. The best thing would just be the most sensible and pit, because Top Car Vlogger, surely 18 lap old hard tyres, is going to be a sitting duck to FCS and Shade, if not even a hazard to them. And same with 2 ahead at the moment in the lead. To me, just a bit, well, it's nonsensical, I think it's the word. Basically, doesn't really make much sense. It's a bit of a no-brainer, surely, to just come in and pit, just like we're seeing now Top Car Vlogger do, because yeah, it wouldn't make at all any sense to stay out when you are in this position. The only thing now for FCS and for Top Car Vlogger, can he get out in a decent position? He's going to get out, obviously, probably still in an alright position, but he would have been better off doing it the lap before, I think. Ultimately, Top Car Vlogger would have. Still, it's easy to say that in hindsight. Still comes out into the top 10. So there's only 3 cars in the top 10 with pretty old tyres here. And those 3 are Neil, Has J Nagel, and Piano Jam, are the 3 drivers with tyres that are more than double digits old, sort of life. So, do wonder when we get a safety car in. I hope it'll be the end of this lap, but we have got to wait, I think, for Morgan then, once again, to make up the deficit. So, safety car in this lap then. Bit of a late call. So, Neil will get us back underway. And Neil's gone already. So, here we go then. Neil leads them into turn 1. No dramatics so far, as we seem to have all got through cleanly in the first few corners. Top Car Vlogger actually losing a position then here, and they might be losing 2 positions, because here comes Charlie Harris down the inside at turn 4. Also Gavin going for a move potentially on Piano Jam at turn 4 as well. That's going to carry on through turn 5. Piano Jam slightly off the track, and big crash between Charlie Harris and then it is Piano Jam, both of them out, triggering another safety car. Huge crash then for them two, and yeah, looked a little bit like what happened to Sainz and Perez actually the other week in Baku. Similar sort of, I feel, incident occurred there. Piano Jam just came a bit too far across on Charlie, and Charlie going for a move maybe a bit too ambitiously in a bit of a too ambitious place, but I don't know, maybe Perez was a little bit different situation, you know what I mean, considering Perez probably didn't go for an ambitious place, but that was maybe a bit too ambitious for Charlie. But nonetheless, yeah, Charlie and Piano Jam both out this race in dramatic fashion. Spectacular crash between the pair of them, causing what is another safety car. And for, obviously, then Neil, that is going to be a free position then held on to for now. Obviously, the guys ahead of them still got penalties though for Appledon, so yeah, this is good news for Neil. Holds on to probably the race lead for another maybe lap or 2 here then in this Brazilian Grand Prix. So, safety car should be in then for what should be the final time, I believe, in this race. We shouldn't get any other safety cars with, well, what should be 4 laps of racing remaining then here. So, let's see how we go. So, as I say, 4 laps of racing to come your way in the season 5 finale, round 12 Brazil, and obviously my final qualms for ERL for now. So let's see what happens in then the final 4 laps, and basically the final probably about 12 miles of the race left now here in the championship season. Appledorn down the inside in a crucial move for then this race and to try and take the race win. Also Dandan making a crucial move for himself, trying to also get ahead of Neil. And now how much breathing room can he put between himself and Neil in this 1 lap that he's probably got before Appledorn, I'm sure, is going to follow him through. This is a crucial lap for then Dandan. If he can build maybe a second on this lap on Neil, which is not going to be easy to do, that would put him in good stead for this race. But Appledorn has a look down the inside, not quite going for it just yet. Further back, Hasjay Nagel is currently sat in 4th place ahead of Elliott, but it's, well, FCS and Shade were watching a little bit further back here because I believe he's potentially the most dangerous for the podium in terms of either getting within 3 seconds of Dandan or maybe trying to even overtake then obviously Neil himself as well, because he's probably got a good chance of overtaking Neil if he can get through here in the final few laps. Appledorn has now managed to get that pass done. He's now well, only 1.4 seconds behind. Cost him a little bit of time, it has, but not too much time where, you know, he cannot go on and win this race. So for obviously FCS and Shade, well, he needs to get past Elliott pretty quickly, but Elliott is not going to be easy to overtake, to say the very, very least. And with that 3-second penalty for Elliott, he's going to, well, not just easy to overtake, but going to be a bit of a nuisance in some regard, because you'd ideally want someone like Elliott out your way, potentially, in my opinion, unless Elliott can overtake Neil fairly quickly. That might also help you, I don't know. It's a very debatable question, but here comes Stewart nonetheless on then FCS and Shade. I think Stewart should have the line here. He's going to try and go around the outside. Both leave each other enough room. A little bit of contact between Stewart and FCS and Shade. Not sure who was at fault there. But nonetheless, FCS and Shade continues on in 5th place, losing a little bit of time also to Elliott. Here comes now Tom, looking to go down the inside. Tom in the end doesn't go down the inside at turn 4. But time is running out for the Ferrari man to obviously get onto the podium here. Neil right now looks like he might just be able to defend this attack off and finish in the season on the podium if he can do so. He's only got about 1 lap to go then. So it is FCS and Shade, Elliott versus Neil for that final podium spot then this season. Right now FCS and Shade giving everything at least to try and finish there on that podium. DRS going to be active, but it is Elliott with the better then obviously exit out of the final corner, and it is going to be Elliott who will be closer going into turn 4, down the hill into 1 and 2 and 3. And with the DRS, can he maybe try and make the pass? Does have a bit of wing damage also to hurt him a little bit more. Maybe without that wing damage it would be a little bit better, but has Neil survived the final attack here and defended off the podium successfully. Now this is the area where obviously FCS and Shade does come good because of the, well, non-broken wing. Elliott wise to just cover off the inside there. FCS and Shade did have a slight look, but time is running out for basically the Ferrari driver, for the, well, AlphaTauri driver, or the RB driver. But closer also more than ever. Anyway, for Dan, he's going to cross the line first. Unfortunately, not going to take the win, because it is going to be Appledorn behind him taking the honours. And it is going to be Appledorn for the final time this season takes the win. He does have a 10-second penalty apparently applied, so that's going to change a lot of things. I think that'll be removable after the race, the 10 seconds. So I believe it's only 3 seconds. Neil takes home second. According to this, FCS and Shade third, Stuart fourth, Tom fifth, Dan sixth. But as I said, I do think a lot of this might be interchangeable. I don't know, really. Nonetheless, we'll just go through the grid result. But yeah, it is Appledorn for the final time this season, taking the top honours and capping off his championship winning season with another victory in Brazil. So Appledorn climbs onto the top step of the podium for the final time this season, as I said, to cap off another victory this season, ahead of Neil, and will be ahead of FCS and Shade, no doubt about that. Whether or not a few penalties are removable, and whether or not they will be removed or appealed after the race, obviously have to find out later, I suppose. But nonetheless, top three will be happy with their results and spray the champagne for the final time in Brazil. And that might be FCS and Shade's podium. Who knows? We'll find out. It does say he has a 3 seconds though, so that might upset things there. Anyway, Appledorn takes the victory and the fastest lap from Neil from FCS and Shade, it says. Then Stuart, then Tom, and then Dan 6th. 7th, Elliot. 8th is Top Car Vlogger. 9th is Morgan. 10th is Jay Nagle. Gavin Poynton is in 11th. LCC is in 12th. And that's the final finisher. Piano Jam is, LCC is of today. A lot of non-finishers though. We've had Piano Jam out, Charlie Harris, Top Car Vlogger out. Both Piano Jam spectacular crashes with spectacular crash with Charlie. Top Car House Vlogger out, Brian out, Lucky Egg out, Begduri also out. Then also Mufasa and Robbo, all are your non-finishers for today. And yeah, all I can say then. That's it from me then. I will be obviously here on Wednesday for one final commentary race, which is for the, what you call it, tier. Very informative, for the Track Titan tier. So yeah, we'll be here on Wednesday. Which again, Brazil, just for the Track Titan tier, which I believe is a 100% race. And there is a bit of championship battle, actually, between Vigo, Floris, Piers, and, well, you can include near enough everyone, actually, in that fight for that battle for honours in that championship, really. And other than that, that's then the final Monday commentary I've done then today. And I just want to thank you all once again for, obviously, all the support. And I want to thank, obviously, as I say, Mufasa or Dave, and obviously, Man's Not Bobble, Man's Not Winning a Championship, whatever you want to call him. But yeah, thanks to Man's Not Bob, Dave, Mufasa, aka Mufasa, and also thanks to everyone, that obviously runs, as I say, ERL, because without you guys, as I say, this obviously league wouldn't work, and all the admins and all the staff do a brilliant job, so keep that up. And until the next time, see you all then for another round of ERL. See you all soon.